I guess you've got two choices when you go bankrupt. You either give up or you get up, dust yourself off and create a business and life you love. Have a guess what today's guest did.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, right there, and so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner. Yeah. And you're ready to crank out some great marketing that is going to build that business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. Maybe you don't want an empire. Maybe you just want a business you love. Well, guess what? Marketing can play a rather large role in doing that. Why I put that sort of sound effect on my voice then? I don't know. But we'll move on. Hey, big show today. Got a fellow joining us, ex-bankruptee. Is that a word? It's like ex-escapee. His name's Phil Leahy. Great fellow who's gone from bankruptcy to living a life he absolutely loves, doing what he loves. More on that in a minute. Time for a little check-in, hey? See how we've all been going? Got a motivational quote about living the life you deserve. Love this quote, love it. And feedback from a couple of listeners that are taking some very swift marketing action. Pretty positive show today, hey? Well, it always is. Like, that's the intent of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, but I think particularly positive. Now, it's brought to you by a couple of very positive businesses, by the way. One is Key Person of Influence. They make this show possible, so go and support them because they've got a gift for you. They will send you a book, which is a ripper book, if you head over to keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. Send you a hard copy of a book that will show you through a 5-step process how to be an industry thought leader. It's a ripper. And speaking of free books, this episode also made possible by the good guys at Audible. You can grab a free audio book of your choice. Yeah, free. Over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. And whilst not a business book, they have just launched the entire Harry Potter series on Audible. And you can grab one of those for free just using that link. Hey, got to be happy with that. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at the Small Business Big Marketing HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Righto, well, I think it's time for a check-in. We haven't checked in on each other for a few weeks, so it's a good time to do it. How are you going? How's business? How's your lifestyle? How's your marketing? I hope it's going well. Mine, good. I went to a friend's wedding on the weekend up in Noosa, up in the northern parts of Australia. It was Amanda Stevens, past guest of this show and great old mate. I was actually the MC. A lot of fun. And a couple of past guests in the audience of that wedding. Keith Abraham, who's also a great mate, and Tina Tower. Great to finally meet you, Tina, after all these virtual handshakes we do across the airwaves. So that was a lot of fun, and I wish Amanda and Brendan so much happiness into the future. What a beautiful, beautiful couple. What a beautiful wedding, and we had a lot of fun. Last speaking engagement for the day. Last speaking engagement for the year today. Done 42 this year, all around Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, went there 3 times, Vietnam. Boy, oh boy, it's been a big year, and thank you to all those who booked me, I must say. I know some of you listen. Get a bit of work, get a bit of speaking work from this podcast. I like that. Little wins. Got to share the little wins, team. Do you share your little wins and big wins with others? I hope so. We do it inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. It makes us feel good. We have to recognise the wins, especially when we're business owners, and sometimes it can feel a little lonely. I've got some really exciting news about my speaking business going into 2016. Can't announce it yet, but it's exciting. Well, it is for me anyway. And it means I'll get in front of a lot more business owners and talk to them about marketing. And I'm very excited to be able to announce Net Registry and Key Person of Influence have re-signed their sponsorship deals going into 2016. Love it, love it, love it. Thanks, guys. Couple of frustrations just while we're checking in, bit of an honesty session. I am frustrated at the moment by the poor reach we're getting on Facebook. Hey, just putting it out there. Do you feel the same? Very frustrating. You've got to boost everything, Yeah, I know that's how they make money. I know, I get it. But anyway, it's frustrating me. And I had some poor customer services experiences of recent times. More since I last reported in a few weeks ago. Doing my head in. More business owners need to listen to this show to get some marketing insights. So, listen, that's been my kind of last few weeks. Hope yours has been a ripper. If you want to share your wins, your losses, your frustrations, your ideas, ask questions, head over to the forum, Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com. And I'm in there every day answering your questions. So are other motivated business owners. See you in there. Righto, today's guest, Phil Leahy, leading light in the e-commerce space in Australia. Big time. This guy is one of the big players. He reached out to me a few weeks ago, having heard I'd had a number of big e-commerce/eBay players on the show. You may remember Paul Neuenhausen from Hooked Online, got Dean Salakis from the Party People, Nathan Huppatz, costumes.com.au, lots of big e-commerce players. And Phil got wind of it, liked the sound of it. We caught up for coffee, at which point I discovered what an amazing business Phil has, an amazing business story Phil has. We're talking radio station owner through to bankruptcy. He then pulled himself out of bankruptcy, dusted himself off and became an absolute gun eBay seller. He's now running Australia's biggest e-commerce/eBay conference, and it's in its 10th year. And he's taken it to Las Vegas. This is inspiring stuff, guys. So strap in, grab a cup of tea, grab a notepad, because there is Marketing GOLD about to be delivered. I started off by asking Phil, what scares him?
What scares me? Running out of money. Not having money to pay bills scares the hell out of me.
Mate, that's happened once before, hasn't it?
It did. Back in 2001, I hit the bankruptcy wall, which is a very ugly place to go. And, a horrible feeling, and I've vowed never to go back there.
Well, who would? Not many would vow to go back there, but what happened?
Basically, I had a radio station business with a partner. We were battling, pushing uphill, if you like to say, and we ended up going broke. So that's it, pretty simply.
Through a dumb decision, through the economy. Why?
Just not planning properly, thinking things through, just being pretty stupid, basically.
Being young and stupid.
Young and stupid, hey? Yes. What
did you learn?
Well, I learned that you got to be careful what you wish for, first off, and because you'll always get what you wish for, especially if you write it down, and that you really need to plan out and be mindful about any roadblocks which could come up along the way, and basically that never be undercapitalised. What did you wish for back then that led you to bankruptcy? Look, half the thing was I sort of loved the idea of owning a radio station. Right. Thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to, be that big businessman type person, and I think there was a lot of ego wrapped up in that. Yeah, I was just going to say your ego kind of got in the way, huh? Yeah, absolutely. This is a silly question, but intentional. Are you glad it happened? You know what? I am. I am, because I learned so much from it.
Yeah.
And I'm not the smartest guy in the room, so I sort of probably needed a good smack over the back of the head with what came with that. So, yeah, I am glad. I grew up a lot from it.
I remember meeting a fellow at a conference I spoke at, Paul de Gelder, his name is. Paul was a Navy SEAL and he got eaten by a shark. Luckily, he survived but lost a leg and arm, right?
Right.
And I asked him the same question, kind of feeling a bit stupid in asking it. But he too said, look, I kind of wish it hadn't have happened. But the fact that I did, my life is amazing now. Mate, this guy was positive, right? You want a glass half full bloke, that's him. But sometimes, and I'm starting to see this, not more and more, but I guess I'm aware of it, is like when bad things happen, sometimes it's good news.
Absolutely. And I for the last, especially the last 5 or 6 years, when something whacks me in the face, it's like, oh, wow, okay, I'm not going in the right direction. I need to take notice of this, and you learn from it. So totally agree with that.
It's my guest in the last episode is a lady, long story short, she put 95% of her marketing budget on backing Holly Holmes in the UFC, sponsoring her, right?
Right.
Holly was an underdog. I don't know how much you know about it. I only just learned about it. But, like, underdog, she was going up against the world number one. And this lady put 95% of her marketing budget on the sponsorship out of intuition. It kept on coming. The idea kept on coming at her in different ways. And she's like, I've got to listen to this. I've got to act. You know?
Gut feel.
Gut feel. Do you operate off gut feel a lot?
I guess I do, absolutely.
Yeah? Do you plan more now, or are you still the emotional kind of, I call myself an emotional marketer. Are you a bit like that?
Oh, I am emotional, but I am actually now formulating more plans than I've ever done before.
Oh,
so,
how's that feel?
It feels great, actually. Yeah, it does. I've just in the middle of doing a 2020 plan, a 5-year plan. And
mate, you've gone to the other side.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really cool.
When I hear about 5-year plans, I kind of go, really? Really? Like a 5-week plan? Yeah, maybe. But how do you know? I mean, there are so many things out of your control. How do you do a 5-year plan?
Well, you've got to put down some projections and where you want to be in 5 years. And, of course, you're going to change this and you have to revisit it often, and you'd revisit it quarterly. But looking at my growth figures of where the company needs to be in 5 years, where I'd like to be personally, I think it's very powerful. And look, a lot of the great mentors, the great speakers have always said, when you write things down, there's a certain magic to that. And I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah,
so I've actually been a bit scared of writing things down because I have seen the magic of writing things down.
Yeah, interesting. I totally agree with that. And I'm apologising for it less and less as I get older, which is, careful what you wish for. Do your dream boards, write stuff down, put it out there, because you might just be surprised what the universe sends back.
Yes, you'll be shocked.
Oh, mate. So, listen, bankruptcy, all-time low. I imagine that brought with it losing of friends, partners, whatever else it brought. But, mate, and many, I'm sure, would continue down that one-way street of depression and everything that comes with it. How did you climb out?
Well, I was feeling it. And I was at an age where I'm like, I can't go back and work for somebody now.
Unemployable.
Unemployable. I don't know what to do. I was sort of sucking my thumb in a fetal position. But I was driven, and I was so broke that I went down to the doll shop or the doll office and walked in the front door, and I took 2 steps in that door. And I looked around and I went, shit, and I walked straight out again.
Yeah, right.
So
these aren't my people. This ain't my tribe.
And this is not my place. So it felt, I'll never forget it. And so I was basically, wow, I better start doing something and getting some food on the table. So,
yeah. And
that's where I sort of landed into my next gig,
What'd you do?
Well, I started selling stuff on eBay. A friend of mine told me about eBay. And I go, what's that? And they said, it's an auction site. And he said, well, you've got all your collectibles and all those CDs from your Sony Music days. Why don't you sell a bit of that? And I'm like, okay, I will do that. And the first thing I listed was a signed copy of the Silverchair album, and I sold it for $100. And I went, wow, this is pretty good. But the great thing about that transaction was someone sent me $100 in the mail, and it was actually, they sent it from the US, so they sent me $100 US, and I'd sold it with an AU. And the dollar was around 60 cents at the time, and I went, wow, maybe there's a bit of opportunity in export as well. So it's sort of, I fell into my next gig, if you like, out of necessity to feed myself.
How long ago are we talking, 10 years?
We're talking 2001, so 15 years
15 years. So, okay, so you've gone, this eBay thing might work, and still, is there, how do you balance that, like, feeling of desperation where you're going, you know, like, my life is in the shitter, to actually getting the focus, putting everything else aside and going, I think I might have found a business idea here, I'm going to make it work. How do you do that?
Well, I guess it was just, one, identifying the opportunity. It was exciting because it was a new thing. You know, it hadn't been done before, so that appealed to me. It was like another big jigsaw puzzle to solve. And I guess, you know, it was basically out of necessity, out of feeding oneself.
Yeah, right.
And then it sort of grew into being a real business.
Love it.
Yeah, it was great. And I built this amazing business, but I got to tell you, and this is the thing about not planning and falling into something, after 7 years of doing that, I asked the question of myself, how the hell did I get here? And I sort of drew the line. I went, wow, I didn't really pick this. It sort of found me.
Yeah, right. Right. So did you end up, like, you sold a bit of Silverchair, you sold all your collectibles, you're getting rid of your personal items, nothing left. Did you then go and start sourcing product, did you?
Yeah, I actually only sold one thing of my personal items, which was great. And I just looked at this whole opportunity in lots of different ways. So I went to garage sales, I went to market stalls, I started buying stuff and then listing it. And then I had someone who actually owed me a little bit of money, and they had a DVD business, and DVDs were on the up. Yeah. And he owed me a few $1,000s. And I said, look, send me some stock, not knowing if it would work. And I scanned all these obscure titles into the system, and then bang, they just started selling.
Love it, mate.
It was just like that.
I reckon even today, would you say that could, if you went bankrupt last week, touch wood, you don't, and this eBay idea came along now, because I've had a few eBayers on the show of recent times, or at least e-commerce players. They still talk eBay up as being a very simple, elegant, first step business model.
Tick, tick, and tick. And absolutely.
Yeah.
If it happened again, I would be straight upstairs into my attic and start pulling things out to start, generating income. But yes, there's still other business opportunities on that platform. The great thing about eBay is that they got the customer.
They got the traffic.
They got the traffic, and it's a great place to learn e-commerce as well. So, I would highly recommend it.
You still got some good memorabilia from those radio days, Phil?
Yeah, I've got a few things hanging on the wall in the office. Fun times.
Don't be tempted. So, mate, you built an eBay business. Can you put some numbers around where you got to? You got out of bankruptcy, but where'd you actually get to in terms of success? Can you talk about revenue or turnover or staff?
Sure. It started off at home. I had a little room at home, and then started having to have stock outside, started employing my first employee, and then it grew to about 5 employees working from home, stock in the kitchen. And then my wife said, enough already, you're out. And we got a warehouse. And basically, at the height, when we finished, we were looking around 5,000 orders per week, so 1,000 orders a day out the door, of which 60% were export. So we're doing very well in the US and the UK, and we pretty much exported to every country around the world. So it was like a $5 million business at the end.
Mate, that's just a great story there, but it doesn't finish there. $5 million business.
It was a great story. I tell you some lessons in that about, with that business too, because that business I grew about 100% a year, every year. when I first started, in the first 2 years, I was growing at 100%, and I made this ideal that should be my growth every year going forward.
Why not?
And that's something I didn't change, which was a bit of a mistake.
Because that was limiting, or because it was excessive, a bit over the top?
Well, it's just a bit over the top. It wasn't, it was a lot of pressure to keep that growth going, and it was like, well, it wasn't the smartest way to grow the business.
Right.
It could have been done a number. Hindsight's a fantastic thing.
Isn't it wonderful?
Isn't it wonderful?
So, mate, you've got the eBay business doing $5 million, is going beautifully, but you then decide to start what was, because it's now changed its name, but the PISA, the Professional eBay Sellers Alliance. Why'd you do that?
Yeah. There was no information back then on how to grow your eBay business or how to scale up or what tools were available. Mm-hmm. And I found out about there's an eBay live conference, I think it was back in 2003. And I scraped up enough money to go, and I went to the US, and I basically joined a group of other sellers who are the top sellers in the States, and I became friends with them, and we would get together twice a year and share information. And I found that, I was stressing about the cost of going to America to attend these things, but within a couple of weeks of getting back, I'd got a big return on my investment. I'd learned a new trick, I'd learned a hack, and I'd implemented that in my business, and bam, the business would go to the next level. So I wanted the opportunity for other Australians to get access to the same sort of information, and also to get a group of like-minded retailers in the room together to help each other. So that's how the conference was born, and it was born out of actually just wanting to help other Australian retailers.
Was it 100% born out of that, or were you also bored with your eBay business? Or was it just purely like, hey, I'm going to be the guy who educates Australian businesses around eBay?
Pretty much. I mean, I'd started being featured in a lot of books and things back then, and I just thought, you know what, Australia needs this. I need to help as the pioneer and one of the early leaders, that this is something I could actually help with. And I put a bit of pressure on eBay and Australia Post, who I was spending a lot of money with, to help finance the first one. And it was just that. It wasn't about making money. It was actually just getting it off the ground. In fact, I lost 15 or 20 grand on the first conference.
Oh, hang on. What'd you think then? Back to the good old days?
Yeah.
We can laugh now, can't we?
Yeah.
So, mate, get a conference business, boy, oh boy, a brave play. Getting bums on seats is no easy task. Did you kind of wonder at some point, what the hell am I doing?
Not really. I'd seen the model work in the States. Mm-hmm. I understood that. I knew that I had to have eBay's buy-in to help with that, so we could have the managing director turn up and a few other people within the company. Why
didn't they just do it? Why didn't they buy it off you?
It's not their core business. It's not what they're great at. I mean, they did a few conferences in America, and they found that it was a big drain on their resources. And they actually stopped doing conferences, I think, in around 2007. They're now looking of maybe doing them again, but it's a really, it's a big amount of work.
Hey, before I ask Phil about how he brought this conference business to life, here's a word from another business that also happens to do very good live events. Support for this show comes from Key Person of Influence, a business accelerator program that reeks of success. I asked co-founder Glenn Carlson to share some breakthrough results.
Every day, I'm seeing people posting evidence of the transformation from them being an operator to being a key person of influence. So, as a result of them publishing a book, they're getting invited to speak at global conferences that they've only ever dreamed of attending, let alone being a speaker at. Or, an organisation decides to buy 3,000 of their new product, which they've just created, that they would never have been able to take 3,000 orders if they were just a single operator. Or their pitch, getting them into, a deal that is 10 times bigger. And like, we see evidence of this every single day. And I look at this every single day to the point where it's become the water I'm swimming in.
KPI, where the results speak for themselves. For a free hard copy of their Amazon bestseller, visit keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. I want to talk about PISA. In fact, you're in your 10th year now, aren't you? It's called the Internet Conference.
Yes.
I want to talk about that, but I just actually want to touch on, because I do think conferences, I do think live events are an amazing marketing play for any business. I don't care if you're a plumber, a vet, an accountant. I went to a live event my accountant put on last night. He does a quarterly briefing, right?
Yeah.
Gets about 50 people. It's great.
It's great.
Eyeball people, you shake hands, it's a different energy to this virtual world that we live in.
That's right. Look, you can't beat the face-to-face. There's only so much you can get from doing a Google search, you know. So, and the stuff you get by meeting humans face-to-face and touching each other and building relationships, you can't beat it. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Mate, okay, so to the small business owner listening, how do they go about putting something? I'm not looking for your step-by-step blueprint on putting a live event together, but what's the secret sauce to pulling a group of people together?
I guess is one, content, having a great reason to get them into the room, and then delivering fantastic content so the next meeting actually grows. So that's the most important thing. And then, you know, making sure you've got a few peer group leaders in the room who are connectors and who people sort of want to hear from.
So important. I've just come from a meeting where I am putting together a private podcast for a large company, right?
Yeah.
And the intention of the podcast is that it adds value to this company's members. Now, having a discussion with the client at one point, they were very keen for the content to be very advertorial. You know, we're doing this and we're doing that. And I don't think that flies at all. And it was a quick discussion and they quickly got it. But the opposite of that is just provide content that is going to make the life of an attendee better or their business better. It's going to solve a problem and then you're onto something. Would you kind of say that that's what you did?
Totally agree. You got to give to receive. You know, absolutely. Just keep giving as much as you can. Don't worry about getting back. It'll just happen.
Can you tell me about that? I hear that, and I think to a large extent I do that and a lot of people listening. But I talk about that kind of idea because what you're talking about is helpful marketing and the idea of sharing your knowledge openly and freely, knowing that you will draw and build a tribe. But people go, oh, geez, what if I give it all away? How much do you give away? What if people copy? What do you say to that, Phil? Yeah,
well, the new world is you have to. And, I got that. When I started the conference back then, I had people say, you are crazy. You're going to have all your competitors at the event and you're going to be giving away your secrets. And they were right. All my competitors were at the event. And yes, I gave away secrets. You know, you take a guy like Kogan, for example. You know, when he speaks, he gets up and he tells others what he does really well. And he shows a demonstration of this is what we do well, this is what we've tried, this is what we haven't. And he gives it all away. He's not worried about that because he's already on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, I get attracted to people and companies who do that, and so do other people.
So do you and Kogan, the likes of you and Kogan, do share your knowledge openly and freely because you're on to the next thing or because you just want to? You're good guys.
Well, I just think if you're not worrying about it, it's not going to come back and hit you in the face, you know? Yeah.
You got to be committed to it, don't you? You can't do it half-assed, you know. It's like you're either going to share or you're not.
Yeah, I used to get really upset with competitors who stole from me and who copied and emulated me, and it used to really bug me. And guess what? I actually love it now. In our office, I'll have some of our team members get really upset about our close competitors copying us, and I love it. I'm going, oh, this is fantastic. It shows.
Well, it's a pat on the back.
Exactly, and we're already thinking about the next thing. So
yeah, right. So, mate, PISA goes along beautifully. Builds year on year. It's an annual conference for what is it for pretty much anyone who wants, any business owner that has or wants an e-commerce play?
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely correct. It's targeted at small to medium to enterprise level retailers or anyone who's selling a product or service online. The difference about our show is that we don't target just the corporates, or we don't just target small or medium business. We have everybody in the same room. And we love that. Yeah, well, it's about, we all share the same customer. So there's no reason we can't share the same space. And, you know, big business can certainly learn from small business and vice versa.
Can they? Well, I reckon even more so. You know, I strongly believe if I was in a corporate marketing job today, I think if I was smart enough, knowing what I know now, I'd be looking at the small guys, seeing how nimble and flexible and creative and innovative they're being, because one of the things with the top end of town is they don't have the ability to be flexible and to try things out. They've got to test things to within an inch of their lives because they don't want to lose their jobs.
Business owners are the heroes. They're the ones who are in there. And we all know because we share that space. You know, the corporate guys are the wage earners. You know, they don't have the pressures small business does, and they have to be nimble and think quick and think on their feet. So, yes, I agree.
I had this lady on the show 2 years ago, Melissa Maker from Clean My Space. She's a house cleaner in Toronto. She differentiated herself by these amazing, and she continues to do it, these amazing YouTube videos where she shares her cleaning secrets, right? When I interviewed her, I said, "Where are you, Melissa?" She says, "I'm in New York." I said, "What are you doing in New York?" She says, "I'm at YouTube's headquarters talking to big brands about what I do." Right?
That's great.
You're great.
That's fantastic.
So YouTube have employed her services, her consulting services, to say, "Hey guys, big brands, look at what the little guys are doing." I love it. I see that more and more. You know.
Yeah, I love it.
I got a phone call yesterday. This is not about me, by the way, but I do. It's a bit of a chin wag. It's only you and I. I got a phone call yesterday from a bloke saying, "Do you do consulting?" I said, "Oh well, not really, but if the job's interesting enough, I'll have a look at it." And he said, "Well, I've got a big brand that would really benefit from some of your small business insights." You know, love that.
That's great, and I'm seeing more and more of that too.
Yeah.
Especially in the last few years, that big business is more open to listen and learn from the small business, because they know that the game's changed and it's changing at a rapid rate.
Correct. So, P's at 10th year. It's now called the Internet Conference. How big is it, mate? How big's it got?
Well, it's big. It's we're now, next year we're looking at around 1,000 attendees over the 3 days.
No.
We run about 8 workshops, 100 speakers, and we're 8 streams wide. So,
mate, that is extraordinary.
And about 60 exhibitors. So it's quite a show.
And that's on the Goldie. When is that? May 25 to 27.
Yes.
And you took it to Vegas, mate, last year.
Well, we've started the show. It's been a dream of mine for a long time now, and I've been working on it forever to get a show off the ground in the States. So we launched Retail Global in August this year. And Retail Global is about, again, connecting retailers from around the world to share information, to discuss cross-border opportunities. Mm-hmm. And that show's off the ground now. So we had 350 people to our first show, and we're expecting 500 next year, and that's really exciting for us.
One of the things that struck me when I met you the other day, Phil, was the fact that you're big on the States, so clearly much bigger population over there, but you actually take yourself and one of your employees to the States, on a monthly basis to research, to go to other conferences? My
wife calls me a conference whore.
I think that's fair.
I love them. I got the best job. I get to just go and listen to interesting people speak. But we attend every major show in the States. We attend any conference we can get to. And we also hold a number of events. So we do 2 meetups per year in Los Angeles. We do 2 in New York. and Chicago. So we've constantly got to be there. About a month before the conference, we put on our own conference. The whole team moves out to LA and we work out of there for a month before as well.
City of Angels. What do you say to the listener who is right now going, it's all right for old Filthy. He's back in the money. He can afford to go to LA and go to these conferences around the world and do his research. What do you say to someone who hasn't got that kind of cash flow? What do? Do you stay trapped in your office or do you get out?
You've got to get out, otherwise you're just going to be trapped there. And, you've got to just put money aside to make those things happen. Education in this business is so important. With the online space, it is changing rapidly, pretty much every quarter, to what used to happen yearly in the old world. So being educated and stepping out from your business is incredibly important. And I'd argue that every business should be doing that quarterly. And stepping out and conferencing every quarter. Absolutely.
Wow. It's a big ask. But then again, that doesn't mean going overseas. I mean,
No.
And I would argue too that you don't necessarily. I remember interviewing a guy who's an innovation specialist years ago. His name's Phil McKenney, and he was the vice president. A lot of vice presidents in America, aren't there? He was the vice president of innovation at Hewlett Packard, right? He had the view of, in order to open your mind and promote great thinking, was go to conferences or events that are outside of your industry.
Yeah.
And just kind of see what other people are talking about.
That's a great thing. One of the things which changed me a lot years ago, when I'd sold the last business, I was looking at Google and how I could understand Google and search a lot more. And I went to a conference called PubCom in Las Vegas, and I didn't understand 90% of what they were talking. It was like they were speaking another language, But geez, did that excite me, Now I go every year, I can actually understand about 80% of what they're saying. So, that's throwing yourself into situations where you're not comfortable is always good. Being the dumbest person in the room is the best thing you can be.
Why is that?
Well, you can only learn if you're the dumbest person in the room and you feel like you're out of your depth, you're in the right room.
Yeah, I like that. There's only one way up. There's only one way to go. It's up.
Exactly. You're not coming down from there. Exactly.
Oh, I love it, mate. Well, Phil, a great story, mate. How do you feel about it? You've probably told that story a lot of times, but I hope it doesn't become cheaper each time you tell it, because it's a bloody great story of, rising from the ashes.
Yeah, look, I've told it a few times, but it's evolving, It's not like we're staying still. And I'm really excited about, my business. I feel like our business now, it's going its 10th year, and I've only really started concentrating on the last few years, but it feels like it's just brand new. It feels like it's our second year.
Some big innovations happening in your space. I even things like I saw recently. Is it a human gram? Anthony Robbins appeared at a conference in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Via a hologram. He wasn't really there, but it looked like he was.
Amazing.
Crazy.
I have seen that before, and it's pretty amazing. I went to Michael Jackson's show in Las Vegas, and they have him appear on stage. Obviously he's not around anymore, and that's pretty freaky.
You're going to do something like that at Internet Conference?
No, maybe not this year. We're going to have we like having the physical people on the stage.
Yeah, correct. Hey, buddy, thanks for sharing. If people want to find out more, where do they go?
Go to internetconference.com.au, and also if you want to find out about our US show, go to retailglobal.com.
Love it, mate, and I hope to see you at the Gold Coast show in May. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much, Tim.
What a good fella is Phil Leahy. Hey, what a great story. Goodness me. Positivity plus. Now, you can hit Phil up on Twitter. Let him know you heard him on the show. Give him a virtual pat on the back for pulling himself out of bankruptcy and now doing great things. His Twitter handle, @Phil, Leahy, is his surname. I want to share my top 3 learnings thanks to the very good folk at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo and the guys at Audible, audibletrial.com/SBBM. Grab your free books at both those links right now. My learning number 1, run a live event, but be sure to offer great content. Avoid the sell at all costs and don't be afraid to charge for it. It may reduce RSVPs, but it will increase attendance. I think we need more live events. Learning number 2, give to receive. Tell, don't sell. What are you holding on to in your business because you don't want your competitors copying you? Hey? Have a think about that and start sharing. Sharing is caring. Learning number 3, look for opportunities to be the dumbest person in the room. Go to more conferences. Never, ever stop learning. You're probably not because you're listening to this show, so good on you for that. But get out more as well. So would love to know what you got from it. Episode 287 over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and leave a comment in, you know what I'm going to say. Yeah, that's right. The show notes. Some wise soul once said, entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Love that quote. Love it. Positive show, this one, isn't it? This particular episode of the Small Business Big Marketing Show. And the positivity continues because I've got some great feedback from a couple of listeners. This could be you, hey? You just need to send me your feedback. You know how you can do it? Head over to iTunes, leave a listener review, all right? And either ask a question, leave some feedback, and your website, and I'll give you a bit of a plug. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Over at iTunes, listener review. Now, Colin Grant sent me this one. He says, hey, Timbo, I just wanted to let you know you've inspired madness in a good way. I love inspiring madness, particularly marketing madness. I launched a podcast not long ago. Well done, Cole. I'm already getting listeners hitting me up on LinkedIn, telling me about how they listened to the shows. Exclamation mark. He sounds surprised. Don't be. If you create helpful content, people will come to listen or watch or read. It's how it works. Back to Cole. He says, I also scored an interview with one of the panellists from the Shark Tank, Andrew Banks. He was a recruiter turned investor. Bam, he says. More exclamation marks. Don't be surprised. People like to be interviewed, right? Back to Cole. But the reason I am messaging you is to say a big thank you for encouraging your listeners to take marketing action. I listened and I did just that. I know. I rant on about it, don't I? Like I go on about taking action a lot because action is where the magic is. So thanks again, says Colin. Thanks again, Timbo. His podcast is called Recruitment Podcast, if you want to have a listen, team. He says, P.S. Timbo, some of my listeners have been making Timbo references in my conversations with them. Ha! How awesome is that? That is awesome, Cole. Love it. Love it when people talk behind my back. Now, we've got another feedback from another listener who is taking some serious what? Yeah, marketing action. That's right. This one's name's James Coylette. He's from Food Estate. He says, G'day, Timbo. G'day, James. I was the guy that tweeted you about the logo from 99 Designs and how good it was. I have had them do other logos and labels also for my food business and food lines. Good on you. Thank you for supporting my sponsors because they support us. James goes on to say, as a testimony to you and your dripping gold, I just wanted to say a big thanks. As you read my email on episode 156, well, here we go. You've had 2 emails read. Good on you, James. And although you couldn't get my name right, yeah, welcome to my world. Not very good with names, good with faces. Ever since then, I have been ticking the boxes on the things you said needed doing. Yes! Ticking boxes. Tick, tick, tick. Get stuff done. Move forward all the time. When you come to your work at the start of the day, ask yourself the question, how can I move forward? Doesn't always have to be a big move forward, but it's a move forward. Back to James. 99 Designs were a big part as they made the design part easy. Well, not so easy when the better half had to approve everything. Thanks, Timbo. Hey, look, whether you're going to use a 99 Designs or a net registry or you're going to educate yourself through the KPI program, just continue to educate yourself. This is why I surround this show with great sponsors, and this is why I surround my business, and I hope your business, with great people, right? We're talking a lot inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum right now about a book called The One Thing, which one of my forum members, Nick May from Colorado, is getting a lot of traction from, a lot of business excitement from, doing the one thing well, whatever it is you do. And, great. It's all about moving forward. Anyway, I'm ranting. I'll put aside an episode around that whole topic. James, thank you for your feedback. Everyone else, head over to iTunes, leave a listener review, and I may well share it on an upcoming show. Righto, that was a big show, wasn't it? Lengthy. Plenty of marketing gold coming your way, though. Stay tuned for some funny business with our old mate Andrew Griffiths. And we've got plenty of other inspiring episodes in the weeks ahead. Be sure to grab your free hard copy of the Key Person of Influence book over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. And whilst we're giving away free books, grab your free audio book over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Maybe you want The One Thing, that book called The One Thing. Or maybe you just want to get stuck into a bit of Harry Potter. It's all there for you, ready, free. Hey, this show sounds amazing thanks to the audio genius that is Daryl Misson. Music bed, written, played, sung by all-round good guy, Mr. Lockie Doley. If you want your marketing questions answered immediately, then join our forum over at crankmymarketing.com. If you need a speaker for an upcoming event, I'm all yours, timreid.com.au. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.